Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about something which I don't usually talk about on my channel, and that is hurricanes. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we're now heading into the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's usually around the end of August, September, even into October and November, and that's when we see lots and lots of disturbances in the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico becoming tropical storms, tropical depressions, sometimes even hurricanes. And we are looking at quite a few different threats over the Atlantic in the next few weeks, one of which, at least, maybe more in the long run, could be threats to land. And hurricanes can be very destructive, tropical storms as well. And so it's really important to monitor these kind of things. So let's get started. This is the current National Hurricane Center 2-day outlook, and you can see that within the next 2 days we have an area, which is an area of disorganized thunderstorms, kind of off the coast of South America, which has a 30% chance of developing in the next 2 days. Then our area number 2 is also an area of thunderstorms, and that's in the North Atlantic Basin, and that's got a 30% chance of developing within the next 2 days. And then area 3, also an area of thunderstorms off the coast of West Africa, and you can see this has a 20% chance of developing in the next 2 days. And if we go to the 5-day outlook, see what happens in the long run, you can see that we actually have some higher chances of development. In fact, a more than 60% chance of developing in the next 5 days, while this one stays at a 30% chance. So we're not too interested in this one, but it will be something to watch because it is that time of year where anything can really happen. But mainly our focus is on number 1 and number 2, which both have a 70% chance of developing within the next 2 days. This area of disorganized thunderstorms, will move into parts of the Western Caribbean, possibly the Gulf of Campeche and the Gulf of Mexico, and this could be an area to watch. And then this one just moving further into the Atlantic. And the reason why these two are particularly not concerning, but ones to look out for, is because, as you can see here, in fact I may as well just go here. For number 1, you can see we have, it's kind of round here at the moment, we have some very warm sea surface temperatures. Now really, you kind of need sea surface temperatures in this sort of range for development of a tropical cyclone, 26 or 28 degrees, which is quite warm. But you can see in this region, so we actually have up to 30 and 31 degrees Celsius, which is definitely more than enough. And especially where this storm, let me just clear this, is moving into, as you see here, where this storm is kind of moving into, has some quite high sea surface temperatures, and especially since it could get into the Gulf of Mexico, as you can see around here, that is a fairly big concern because the Gulf of Mexico is infamous for rapidly developing tropical storms and tropical cyclones into strong hurricanes and that kind of thing, which cause major damage. And especially last year in the 2020 season, we saw lots of that. And with these very warm ocean temperatures, quite a lot of people are concerned about what could happen. Then the second area is currently, let me show you, around in this region, and that is also an area, well, not as extreme as the Gulf of Mexico, still has some pretty high sea surface temperatures itself, and that's why, while it should be no real threat to land, it is just something to watch, and it luckily should stay in the open sea and will be a pretty good storm to look at on satellite, but luckily not cause any damage. So these are the reasons why we're kind of watching these two storms, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail, especially into area number 1, this one right here. So now let's get into that. So this is the GFS model, which is a kind of global model, and this is the, as you can see, the Atlantic, the US, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and you can see, so this is our area number 1 right now. By the way, this is sea surface pressure and precipitation. This is our area number 3, and then this is currently an open wave, as you can see here, but this is area number 2. And you can see this one has some thunderstorms. They all have some kind of showers and thunderstorms, but just watch them as we go through the next few days. You can see this one develops into a kind of tropical storm, moves off in this region, luckily no threat to land, but this is why we're going to turn towards this one now, because if you see on this model run, it actually affects land, the Gulf of Mexico, quite severely. Watch what happens, as you can see, it rapidly intensifies, and this is actually a fairly significant trend here. What you're seeing, this a strong hurricane making landfall in parts of Texas. But I mean, there's an incredible amount of uncertainty with this forecast as usual because the storm hasn't even formed yet. So it's just an area to watch, but the potential, the ceiling is quite high. So we need to get into a few things which might affect it. So this is the moisture, and one ingredient which is quite important for hurricane development is moisture. And you can see each area which we're talking about is kind of an area of moisture right now, except this one, this open wave, that's a bit kind of dry, as you can see. Same with this one, doesn't have, this one's got a lot of moisture, but we're not really watching this one. So watch these two areas. Let me just get rid of these two areas, especially this one right here. And so what we need for a decent storm to develop is moisture. And as you can see here, we have plenty of that. We don't have a lot of dry air around. Most of the dry air is kind of coming around here. And you can see that there is a lot of moisture within this kind of region surrounding the storm. And that also shows, as you can see kind of here, that the mid-level and low-level centers are relatively aligned on this potential scenario, and that would lead to some fairly quick intensification if it came into the warm open waters of the Gulf. And another thing that means is that thunderstorms will be developing quite easily around, and that can again lead to rapid intensification in some scenarios. And so that's what one ingredient that could potentially show that we could have a kind of a significant tropical cyclone on our hands. So that's moisture ticked off. And as I go further through this loop, you can see that there may still continues to be lots of moisture around this, completely circled by moisture. In fact, there would be definitely no issues there regarding moisture and like dry air getting entrained, ripping apart the circulation, or sorry, not ripping apart, like destroying thunderstorms, that kind of thing. So moisture is basically all good in a sense for this storm, but that's not a good thing because it could be quite severe. Now we're going to look at kind of some of the upper level patterns which might be influencing this. So you can see we have the jet stream. We have the jet stream over here. As you can see, we have high pressure here, blah, blah, blah. But our attention's down here, actually. And you can see that we have this upper level high, which is where the winds are rotating like this, clockwise. And then we have an upper level low, which is where the winds are rotating like this, counterclockwise. But our little area that we're seeing is right over here. And one of the things that's so interesting about this high is that means that it will keep away lots of shear. So an upper level high, as you can see, the winds are light all the way through this. We have only even a few barely even blue colors, which is the lowest on the scale, touching this system, which means that shear will stay relatively low throughout its lifetime. And that is another good thing for the storm, but bad if you don't want to have a strong storm. And that's because it will stop the circulation from getting ripped apart. It will allow it to be vertically stacked. It will allow it to build lots of thunderstorms, organize quickly. And that's going to be another issue because as you watch here, well, let me just point out something first. You can see that we've got lots of kind of divergence like this, and that's because the storm is like creating its own high pressure system in a sense. The air rising through the thunderstorm spreads out as it hits the top, and you can see that's when we start to see our low, and it maintains itself underneath this high for the whole time it is a storm. And that's bad news because that just means that it will allow a better chance to kind of its strengthen, in fact. And what's basically going to happen, we're going to have good moisture, good for thunderstorms. We're going to have relatively low shear as well, and an upper level high. And so this is why things are looking pretty concerning for this storm, and some of the intensity guidance is showing it to become a fairly strong hurricane. But again, we're not at that point yet where we can start really talking about its track, that stuff. We're just kind of speculating how this could be a large threat. But I'm going to talk about, ironically, some of the things that might affect its track, the steering. You can see we have this upper low here, which I was just talking about back there. And then you can see this is the areas of red show high pressure. The areas of blue kind of show low pressure. This is at 500 millibars, by the way. And you can see we have our little area to watch over here. And then you can kind of see that nothing much happens, except we do have this very large high. And this high pressure is going to be kind of one of the main forcing factors for this storm over its track. And as you can see, we have this, like I just said, this strong ridge like this, and that's kind of blocking it from going further north, and kind of with that steering flow pushing it into the Gulf of Mexico along a relatively straight line of track, a straight track. But one thing that is slightly interesting is towards the end of this, you can see we have this trough up here, over parts of Canada. That moves in like this along the jet stream, starts to kind of break down this ridge, this high, and that, as this high weakens and moves this way, that allows this storm to come northwards like this. And so, as you can see, it makes a landfall kind of in between Texas and Louisiana on this run as that high moves northwards, and instead of kind of staying on a straight track like that, it makes a last-minute turn towards that's a bit wonky, towards the north. So that'll be something to watch out for. And it is possible that we could see a kind of trend further north on future model runs, because that is something we'll have to watch here. So this is the vorticity at 150 millibars. That's kind of like the spin. You can see we kind of have our area like this over here. If you watch that, and we have this very strong high that I just talked about, pushing or steering it in this direction. Like, sorry, that was a bit of a dodgy arrow. Steering it in this direction like that. So if you watch our little area like this, and I move the loop forward, you can see that what happens is that originally it's kind of this whole large area of let me just get rid of this whole kind of large weak area of spin, and you would probably say that the circulation will be kind of somewhere around here. What actually happens is, as this kind of rotates around, the vorticity focuses on the kind of northern axis of this this wave, kind of south of Hispaniola, and that could allow for a kind of a track north, as you can see here. Oops, I don't know what I just did. You can see here, you might have thought that this would be the area to watch around here, but actually the circulation consolidates and focuses itself to the north, like this, and this often leads to kind of problems with models regarding the track, and this could kind of make a few models uncertain and could lead to corrections further north, kind of corrections further south. You never know. But if this does trend further north, we could have interaction with landmass Cuba, and this could be favorable if you don't want to have a strong storm, because right now it kind of slides through this gap. So we do have to watch out for a potential northerly trend, which would be favorable for a less strong storm at the coast. But like I said, this is many days away, and as usual with this kind of time frame, the uncertainty is high, so it's important to stay up to date with the forecast. And as you can see on this run, makes a turn towards the north as a very strong hurricane. And now what I've all talked about, the fact that this storm will not be facing a lot of shear, will be in a kind of moist environment, and will be kind of forced into this region, the Gulf of Mexico, with very high sea surface temperatures, 30 degrees or more, can lead to rapid intensification. This is what we're going to have to look for some potential scenarios, and this is one model. This model has its ups and downs. It can be very accurate at times. It can also be very over the top at times, and you can see kind of what I was talking about, the consolidation kind of near to Cuba. As you watch through here, as it kind of goes near Cuba, this could be something to watch. It could break down circulation quite a bit and take some time to recover, but doesn't really matter on this run because the sea surface temperatures are so warm, the shear is so low, the moisture is so high. This will allow it to be a vertically stacked storm, just being able to produce strong thunderstorms and organize very rapidly. And you can see what happens here is a kind of worst case scenario where we get a landfalling major hurricane on the Louisiana or Texas coast, and so this would bring a lot of storm surge, a lot of wind impacts, a lot of rain. So it's really something that could be quite severe, and that's why you need to stay up to date. But again, this is a long way out. Stay up to date with the National Hurricane Center forecast, because they know a lot more than really anyone. They will be very accurate, so stay up to date with them for the best info. And if you're in any of these kind of regions from here to here, just definitely stay up to date with the forecast and have your plan ready. Thank you very much, and like, comment and subscribe, and thank you for watching.